Listen, children, to a story that was written long ago about a kingdom on a mountain and the valley folk below. On the mountain was a treasure buried deep beneath a stone, and the valley people
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
My name is Marley Cadet. These are the North Shore Dance team of the North Shore Church. We are here to make the City Council aware of the performance that happened earlier tonight. We know you cannot speak against a councilor that's here, but we want you to be aware of what we've been through, to understand what we've been through, and so you can know where we're coming from. And with that, it's not a food distribution thing, although it does hinder a lot of things we can do, but it's a human race thing. We are human, and we want to be treated like human beings, and that's what we are. We are human beings.
Many of us smelled cigarettes and alcohol on her. We normally record our rehearsals to review the steps to go back home and rehearse them. So we have videos of her doing all said actions. The second incident occurred not long after that, in which we were getting ready for the Martin Luther King holiday. The city councilor turned the heat off on us during the winter months, and we had to have rehearsal with our jackets on.
Wait, listen, let her speak.
There are times we would...
Say it again. We had to do what?
The city councilor turned the heat off on us during the winter months, and we had to have rehearsal with our jackets on outside. There are times we would find a note on the door or a message stating we cannot use the church because of the food pantry, so we had to have practice in our pastor's front yard of our house, all 14 of us, while there were 13 meeting spaces in the church. We had a difficult time understanding why we were treated so poorly. Our rehearsal times were not respected, and we felt as if we weren't respected at all. There is video evidence of the instances that were mentioned. They may say we are millennials or Gen Z. However, one thing for sure is that we always have our cameras ready and our mouths open to speak the truth. We do not agree that if you treat a group of young black girls like this, you are qualified to make decisions on our behalf. We are asking for the resignation of this city councilor who is in charge of the food pantry, as evidence shows she cannot continue to treat youth that look like me like second-class citizens. Thank you.
Hi. So there are so many situations that have taken place at 50 Church Street that can be discussed tonight as evidence that this city council is not a representation of what Everett stands for. With so many races and cultures rooted in the city, Everett should have city council who appreciates, and isn't demeaning to these races and cultures. There isn't a nice political way of saying this, but it does feel like the city council has it out for North Shore Evangelical Missionary Church. For example, if we're all sharing the church, why does North Shore have to ask the city council to use a space on their assigned day? Why did the city council chain the handicap parking spot only for North Shore but opened it up again for the other congregation? Why was the other congregation able to use the church in full, but North Shore has restrictions? Lastly, the city council has disrespected the members of North Shore countless times, no matter how many times members would clean the building from top to bottom, renovated and taken care of this church. If one is city council of this diverse city, one should be able to embrace specifically the Haitian community that predominantly make up the city, which includes North Shore. North Shore wants to grow. They want to work together with this city to make a better community. But how can one do that if this city council is against everything and anything they do? In closing, this city council should not and cannot represent the city and its people if this city council is showing that they cannot embrace and stand with North Shore Evangelical Missionary Church. Furthermore, nobody knows what went on at 50 Church Street to to North Shore, but North Shore with the city council. With that being said, no one can dismiss and will not dismiss North Shore's experiences just because they didn't experience it themselves. And I want to emphasize that North Shore doesn't want quarrel with anyone, but when we're pinned against the wall, we have to use our voice to stand for a change. Thank you.
This issue is not entirely about parking. The issue is, what do you see in us and in my mother that she was not enough to be treated with dignity and respect and receive reasonable accommodations that is entitled to her by the US government as well as Massachusetts. Because under ADA Title III public accommodations, there are a slew of regulations that are not being met. And then under Mass Law for public accommodations, MGL C-272, 92A, and 98, inequalities are punishable and accessibility must be made, right? 3 churches used to occupy First Baptist Church with no issue at all. Something happened, contentions was sold in, and now there is one group that occupies First Baptist Church. And so my question is, what makes North Shore canceled as a group of people when we all believe in God and in the blood of Jesus? That is not acceptable, to have contention between religious groups under the same guise, right? So where is the integrity of the council when you represent us? And first and foremost, we're neighbors. We're your neighbors, and then we're your constituents. So where's the integrity of the council? Where is the integrity of the word itself, right? Like, love your neighbor, love your enemies. When there is a situation between us as a religious group, mediation has to be made. There has to be forgiveness. And we have to be on one accord, and none of that has ever happened. Grace means a measurable favor. Hope, like faith, is confidence in what we don't see. And in his name, people of God are supposed to be on one accord. So who gets to deem a community or a group of people as enough to exist in a particular place? And who is enough, and what makes that person enough, and how do you define who, what, where, when is enough, and what is the standard of being enough? We are taxpayers, we are citizens, some of us are pending citizens, and we are residents of Everett. And we are not treated as human beings to practice our religious freedom. We're not even being treated as human beings, such as my mother, to assert her right as a physically disabled person. So again, where's the integrity of the council, especially since everybody's supposed to be present, as in the bylaws? What is happening what makes you enough to lead us, and we as constituents unqualified to be represented and heard with respect? And my last question is, as an orator right now, I just wanted to know why I couldn't be heard by every single council member. And again, you all represent us, so I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'll be real quick. Okay. It is difficult to be, let me put my glasses on, I'm sorry. It is difficult to be here and talk about this issue, but it was very important. I was the last elected deaconess at First Baptist Church. It was voted in from at least 15 members years ago. I've also been a member of First Baptist Church for over 20 years. I have asked this question to several elderly church members that went to First Baptist Church for years, most now who have passed on. Who owns the church? The same answer was, what we know through the history of the church, it was just to stay a church and serve the community of Everett as a church. No one owns it. As the original people of First Baptist became smaller in number, through an aging population, etc., it finally dissolved. However, the Daniels Church there was thriving with many people, a music ministry, Sunday schools, etc. When asked by First Baptist, the Daniels gave money for oil throughout the winter season. They also painted inside the church and cleaned the church regularly. When First Baptist Church dissolved, locks were changed and the Daniels couldn't get in. They have a lot of their church equipment in the church they haven't been able to get. I personally went over to get some items I left in the church and had to wait for a Saturday for the 7-day Everett church that used to be there so I could get in as my keys didn't work. I know the Daniels have paid rent for the use of the church in there now does, the 7-day Everett did, and the Daniels pay rent. With an increase in rent, they got no written notice and no paper trail. My question, people collecting rent, where was the money going to? Where was accountability? Also, I have heard there was no permit for the food pantry every week. You have a block party, you get a permit. Put new windows in your home, you get a permit. So what is going on with the permit? Also, it's great helping people with food, but in front of people's homes every Saturday, noise, health issues, safety concerns, maybe take money getting from rent and put towards another location away from people, or even maybe use City Hall parking lot. Nothing would make me happier than seeing First Baptist Church a real church again. With God's grace, give it to the Daniels. Thank you for your time in this matter.